let's make some noodles. And today Megumi has like some unique noodles that she actually developed like yesterday, created yesterday, and so this is going to be very interesting. And so for the ingredients, we have like ramen flour, the protein content like around 11%, and we have water. And for the solid, we also have this red hot chili peppers powder, and we have salt and a kanshi. So these salt and kanshi go into the water because these need to be dissolved into the water like before we add to the flour and the solid, right? So these are the ingredients, and right, let's get started. So first thing we do is that of course like we have to make dough, and so we have this machine called like Richmond Type 1 machine, and this machine is equipped with the mixer that can mix like 10 kilograms of solid at maximum. And the minimum batch is you can do like is 4 kilograms of solid. And of course, like on top of that, on top of the solid, you're adding the liquid. So this is a 4 kilogram batch because that's a minimum, and we're adding the liquid on top of it. So kanshi and salt being dissolved in the water. And the kanshi, we talked about it, like, kanshi is something we have to have for ramen noodles. So this is a ramen noodle that we are making, but like, and we, again, like, talked about, like, different types of kanshi, or kanshi that has, like, varying, like, blending ratios of potassium carbonate and sodium carbonate. And potassium carbonate hardens the noodle texture, and it has this kind of kanshi smell to it. So she's adding the liquid, and then you see the holes, right? Like small holes, like on the lid of this mixer, and that's where this liquid is dripped through to the flour. So this way we can add the liquid a little by little to facilitate good hydration of dough, good hydration of flour. And but because of limited time, like we can't really keep watching the mixing. So she prepared the dough in advance. And by the way, like so that you see that like the dough is like put in a plastic bag, and that's how we do this process called like resting process, to kind of optimize the like dough condition, noodle texture. And so this is a dough that she made like previously, like with exactly the same ingredients that we just saw. And what she's doing now is like she's doing like rough forming dough, like so making a rough sheet of dough through a set of rollers. And this type of dough is called is categorized to be like kind of medium hydration ratio noodle. And medium hydration ratio noodle like means like that's a hydration ratio like between like 30% and like 38%. So 30% means, for example, like for 10 kilograms of flour, you're adding 3 kilograms of liquid to it. So that's what the 30% hydration ratio means. And you see the size of dough, like size of like crumbles of dough, right? It's not, well, it's big, like wet, but like not that big. And so according to based on this size of like crumbles, we set the roller gap differently. And for this type of dough, we set the roller gap right now to 1.5 millimeter, the roller gap. So the dough is going through this roller gap to be pressed and will turn into the sheet of dough, and it's still like rough and like weak in structure. So like if we try to rip it, easily like gets ripped, and so it's still weak. So we still have like a process it to make it stronger, more firm. So after like we did the mixing, right? The chili pepper, the color of it was like kind of red, but like after making the dough, it's more like orange, right? It's more like orange than red. But like, and yeah, we're sorry that you can't smell this flavor of chili, but we are all smelling it right now, the chili flavor. And then after you cook the noodles, you can actually sense the flavor. You can actually taste the flavor. So it's this flavor and kind of like spiciness and hotness, the taste that you can taste. And yeah, after you cook the noodles, like the color can be like orange too. I like more orange. And so the the mixer stopped after 4 minutes, right? And then she's adding the rest of the liquid, and then mix it for 6 more minutes. So the total mixing time is 10 minutes for this medium hydration ratio noodle. And basically, the higher the hydration, the shorter the mixing time. And for example, like tsukemen noodles, like we talked a bit about, that's and then probably like maze soba noodles, that they belong to like high hydration ratio noodles, and the mixing time is like 5 minutes. But like if you're doing like tonkotsu ramen, the thin and hard noodle we talked about a little bit like in the chart, um, that belongs to the category called like low hydration ratio noodles. Like that's less than 30% hydration ratio, and the mixing time is 15 minutes. So the less hydration and drier, the longer the mixing time, the longer we have to mix. So what she's doing right now is like it's combining process. So the dough sheet like we had like from the first round of sheeting is still pretty weak. So by compounding two separate sheets, like making two separate sheets and compounding them together like with the rollers, we can make it firm. We can make it stronger. And you maybe like see the surface of the dough sheet that's coming out through the roller, and it's like surface maybe like smoother than the previous dough that's going in. And the other thing that we have to be careful about when using like this type of like powder, like chili, other things than beef sour, is that like the moisture level like these powders like tends to be like drier than the flour, wheat flour. So um, we would need to probably increase the hydration ratio like at least like few percentages to get sort of like the same sort of like a softness like hardness um, as you do like regular type of noodles. And then this is where it gets interesting because like she has another dough that's basically has the spinach powder needed in them, and what she's doing now is like she's actually compounding these two dough sheet into one to make kind of a holiday kind of Christmas color kind of. It's like orange and green. So this is the second combining process. We usually do this combining process like twice. And so what she's clever is that like she did like first combining, right? And then for the second one, she's compounding two different dough into one to make like layers of different doughs. This is definitely for like color-wise for the holiday season. It's very suitable for holiday season that's coming. So. And then the other things that she did was that like she made like two different doughs like these types, and then after the mixing, so she mixed up like all these doughs, right, the crumbles of doughs, and then fed them to the rollers to make rough sheet of dough. So you can probably start from there too, and then that way the colors are more like sort of like mixed up. It's like marbles of like different colors, different like green and orange. So that's another idea that you may be able to do like. And of course, like you can do all sorts of like different. You can try using different ingredients. This is just a coloring or flavoring. So you can do like black like squid ink, and like also you can do like other types of greens, like using like green tea, the spinach. I mean spinach we did like the seaweed. And so after the second combine process, all we do is that we just have to thin it to the final thickness. And so like she's just thinning it, and now she's dusting it. Dusting powder we talked about, right? So like dusting powder, we use starch. But like we use like kind of special kind of processed starch that's made of like kind of certain types of like palm trees in Japan. But like it's very hard to like procure it like overseas. So we usually like substitute it with corn or like potato starch. It just has to like kind of keep dough from sticking. So, and again, like the sliminess of the noodle, like when you cook them, like this kind of gets slimy, right? So that may be from the starch of the noodles, that's wheat flour, or the starch from this dusting powder. And then some people actually like this sliminess because it kind of helps, especially like that's when it's served with like a light broth, light soup. It kind of helps carry the soup, and it makes makes the soup like a bit like viscous. So some people like it. So she's thinning it, like we have to thin it like gradually, because like if you thin it like kind of all at once, like kind of drastically, then that would like damage the gluten structure inside the dough. So we need to go gradually, like thin, little by little. So that's why like she's doing like kind of a few rounds of like sheeting till we get to the final thickness. So we had a question about, well, how long can we keep the noodles? For ramen noodles, like depending on the hydration ratio, um, because it contains the canned, right? So it's good for 7 to 10 days in refrigerator. For udon noodles, they last for 2 to 3 days. But like for if you're doing like homemade noodles, udon, we can store the dough chunks that are after that's gone through like second resting process. Uh, we can we can rest. We can actually freeze them, and then you can take it out and then sheet and cut them into noodles on the day we serve them. So for me, noodles, like you have a choice of like kind of freezing the dough after that's gone through like a second resting process. With soba noodles, it's better to serve them on the day of making them because um, the essence of soba is, of course, it's the aroma of the buckwheat, and then aroma that smell like evaporates over time when exposed to the air. So we need to, if you want to store them, like they should be frozen. The noodles are easy to break, and then buckwheat aroma evaporate over time when exposed to the air. So, um, but it's better to sell them like in the way we make them. But like for storage, they're freezing. Right. So we're gonna cut this sheet of dough into noodle strands. So we use this kind of cutter. It's kind of like paper shredder, and the dough sheet like goes through the sliters in between, and comes out like noodles, comes out noodle strands. And of course, like this, each group is going to be the width of the noodles, and thickness be controlled by the roller gap. Width for this kind of cutter, that's fixed. But like there are many types of many sizes with this kind of cutters. And that kind of cutter is actually used for well, we talk about like high hydration noodles, like kind of softer texture, because it's thick. I mean, it's large in size, um, but and so like basically like use it for like a tsukemen dipping noodles. But for this noodle, like kind of to make them interesting, she's making like kind of wide like flat noodles, so that it's thin, but like it wide. See how the colors of noodle. It's like green and orange. It's kind of like celebratory colors, and that's very suitable for the season that's holiday season that's coming. And you can probably, I mean, this may be a hit during the Halloween too. So one side is green, the other side is orange. chili, pepper, and spinach powder. So I haven't tried them yet, so I don't know how the taste of the flavors are going to be like when you bite into them, because it's got like chili flavor and spinach flavor at the same time. So and one thing we want to say is that like it's very easy and simple to make unique noodles like this. It's just up to your imagination, like creativity. So you just have to like think about what your local customers would love to try, and of course like they have to be good, like, but it's, you can make, you can have a bit of fun like creating these kind of noodles, and then appeal to your customers, and you can send it out, like post it on like your Instagram. And if you have like a good customer base like through Instagram, well, posting something like this like would draw, drive some sales, and then it's a so that um, so that first batch that she did, like from the crumbled dough, the chili powder, chili pepper noodles, was 2 kilograms, and the spinach one that she prepared like was also 2 kilograms. So combining like make this dough like four in total, 4 kilograms total. And so out of four, plus the liquid, um, so she made about, she made about like 40 servings. So spinach and like chili powder like are something that are available in your area too. So you can definitely try to make these noodles, and then of course, like if you have better ideas and ingredients in your markets that you want to try, you can definitely make, well, let's say like more unique, like more appealing noodles, or like the gyoza skin that we talked about, like the bao dough, the other things. So this machine is like very versatile, and then it's a lot of fun actually to yeah, to do homemade noodles. So we had a question, another question. How can we solve the problem where noodles get stuck together when storing them in the refrigerator? That's fresh noodles. So one thing is that like we should dust noodles well, like when thinning and cutting, right? So and for dusting powder, like I talked about, like we're gonna process the starch, and that's but difficult to like procure like overseas. So we usually substitute it with potato starch or like corn starch. And when storing noodles, lay paper towel like a cloth like on the bottom and line up noodles that we did already, and then lay another sheet of paper towel or cloth over the noodles. So this way, like water drips from condensation that may happen inside the container, absorbed in the paper or cloth, and that prevents noodles from sticking.